this tutorial, we're going to be looking at design development as a recap. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the differences between improving your illustrations and your design work and developing your actual design concepts on. I'm going to show you a range of examples of how this can be done within your sketchbooks. The best way for me to explain to you how to develop your designs is to show you through example. So looking at these sketchbook pages, we can see some fairly rough initial idea sketches. They all have similarities. There are similar shapes and forms being used within them. So each one is a development from the original sketch idea. This design shows a more clearly presented design idea. It's been painted using acrylic, so you can really get a feel for the materials that are being used. But effectively, it is a development of those initial sketches. Whilst the actual illustration has been improved, because there's been changes to the actual design, this counts as a development too. Take a look at the top of this page. These initial two sketches are of the same object, but one is an improvement on the other. Nothing about it has actually fundamentally changed, it's just a better illustration, so this doesn't count as a development. However, the necklace piece at the bottom of the page would count as a development from the original drawing, as does this piece on the next page. It's taken its inspiration from that original sketch but has been developed into a new product. This page shows 4 developments of the initial idea. Now, whilst they are slightly different, there's nothing creative really about what's going on here. This is just testing out placement of colour. So whilst this does count as a development, it's not necessarily what we would consider a creative development. And when you work on your design ideas, we want to see you thinking much more creatively and thinking outside of the box. This page shows a few more development ideas, a little bit more creative than the last page. There's a lot more going on with the pattern and the form. The developments here are much more significant, but are they that creative? When considering developments of your designs, some of the best and most important things you can do is refer back to your research, but more importantly, refer back to any feedback you might have collected. This design shows a concept using elastic and beads for a hand bracelet/ring. These are slight developments from that original design. All of these products are following the same concept, so there's a silver metallic material being used at the base for the bangle and the ring, and then elastic and beads. The next pages start to show a lot more creative development. We've moved away from just focusing on the hand and have looked at collar pieces and foot pieces. So this was based on previous research and feedback from the customer target market. By referring back to previous research, the designer here has been able to be far more creative with their developments. Remember as well that you don't need to make everything you design, so you could design beyond your capabilities or beyond what you can afford to spend on materials, like this designer did here with this elaborate back piece. As a recap, let's take you through the design process with this sketchbook. This initial line drawing has formed the basis for these design ideas. This page doesn't really show a lot of developments, this is more improvements on the design. This page steps up a little bit with its development as it has an additional metal being used. This page, however, becomes much more creative with its development, looking at completely different forms that have taken inspiration from that initial idea. The designer here has presented their final idea as a technical drawing with details of the costing for the materials as well. They've then painted up the pendant as neatly as possible, showing the actual scale of the item. To summarise, when you're developing your design ideas, you may need to refer to research. You may even need to complete additional research as you go along. It's important to refer to any feedback you've already collected from other people or your tutor, and again, you might need to collect more as you develop your designs. And most importantly, think creatively. Don't play it safe. Try to come up with as many different ideas as you possibly can.